G'day folks, Greg Budd from Bud's Baits here.
Welcome to the African Lure Craftsman. In the ensuing episodes, we'll be taking you along while we design and handcraft timber lures and hopefully get out into the water to use them. I've designed lures for some of the big boys in the industry and I sell my lures worldwide. I'll do my best to show you some of the hacks I've learned along the way. Stay with us and experience the wonders of casting lures to bass, giant catfish, tigerfish in Zimbabwe, which I'm fortunate to call my home, and cross borders with us as we'll target the denizens of the deep all along the African coast in magical places such as Mozambique. Through it all, I'll share a bit of my daily life and business experience, which can be quite tough in Zimbabwe at times, as we take you along to run the daily gauntlet of survival. Subscribe and click the notifications button to stay with us.
Hi guys, welcome back to the African Lure Craftsman, and I'm very excited today because we are finally going to start foiling the lure. I think we've all been waiting for that, and obviously the foil leads to paint and the paint leads to dressing it up and we get the end result. But what I'm going to do is run you through what I've done so far to get it to that stage. We did say last week that we would get it painted up, primed, sanded back, white coated, and we'd get that bib fitted in so we can have a detachable bib, and we've achieved that, which is great. A little bit of hard work, I must say, but we're going to walk you through the whole lot. Here's our bait. She's got a nice base coat white on it. Our joins are all nice and free still, and what we've got here is we've got a little recess for the bib. Now what I decided to do here, if we can get a close-up of that, you'll see that the wire is exposed inside. What I did is I created what we could call a sluice, I guess, which allows the bib to fit into a perfect slot. There's the bib there. As you can see, I've widened the hole in the middle here to fit over the wire, and what I've done is on the inside of the sluice, the recess is kind of flanged, so it kind of goes out in an outward area using that interior of the head there. So this here can expand, clip over the wire, and then just click into place. It was creating a lovely clicking sound before I glued it and put it all together, but I've done it in such a tight fit that you can't hear the click now, but that doesn't really bother me because it does stay in there and it's perfect. I'll show you that. It's quite a very tight fit, but we'll show you how that goes in here. There we go. It doesn't move at all, and there's our bib. So what we've got now is we've got the Garfish bait, which we can use with a bib, or we can use it without a bib. A little bit of an effort to get it out, but that's great. There we go. What I'm going to do for this recess here is I'm going to make a little plug. Now, we all understand it's a very tight fit, so what I'll do is I'll just sand down a small piece of polycarbonate, maybe put some fingernail things on the outside here, just so you can plug that hole. I don't think it's really necessary because it's not a great hole. But if we just plug it a little bit, it might just create a little bit of smoother water flow over that area. Inside the recess, there's 2 aluminium plates on either side, and what I did here is I excavated this whole area. I don't mind drawing on this now, here to just in front of the weight here, and that whole area there behind and in front of these aluminium plates is now packed with our jack dust and our super glue. So basically the whole area is reinforced. I resealed inside there. There's no worries with that causing any problems or waterlogging or anything like that. So that's all done now. So I'm quite chuffed with that. We set out to the challenge, and I think we got there. And we learnt a bit on the way. It's the first time I've ever done anything like that. So that's quite pleasing to do that. Let's just slot that in again. You'll see it goes there, now clicks over. There we go. And there we go, doesn't move. There's no play in that at all. Let's get an angle like that. You can see where it sits there. You can't see the aluminium anymore. I can see it just on the inside there because it's all painted over. But I'm sure that you get the picture there. So quite chuffed with that. Straight on, dead center, and we're ready to go. I think maybe what we'll do is just go give it a test in the pool and just show you guys. I think it's always necessary to do that once you've done this. Give it a test, make sure it all works still perfectly, and then we can come back and we can commence the foiling. So here we are at the swimming pool, the cesspit, Chernobyl, and we are going to test this. So we've got it first without the bib on here. Let's give it a go, make sure it's all functioning fine. I think it is, so I don't think that'll cause any disruption, maybe only a fraction. So let's give that a go quickly. Oh, why is it floating now? Just hold on. What? African lure craftsman, take 2. Sorry guys, there's a bit of a klutz just now and I didn't have the hooks on. One of those things. Monday morning, not enough coffee. Anyway, we just threw it in the pool just now and it wasn't actually sinking, and I thought, how the heck is that happening? But what that demonstrates, I guess, is just the small amount of weight you need to get a lure to the level of suspend, sink, whatever you want it to do. So with those 2 hooks, it suspends, it's actually a slow sink, and without them it floats straight in the top of the water. So another thing there, guys, is bearing in mind this is a saltwater lure and I'm in landlocked Zimbabwe. There's no saltwater here. I've done things before, like filled up big drums and tubs with packets and packets of salt to try and get the water denser, but you've got to bear that in mind as well, that saltwater is denser than freshwater, and anything that probably sinks relatively fast in freshwater is going to sink slower in saltwater. So I've done this as well, which we haven't mentioned before, and I think it's important to mention that it sinks. It's on a slow sink here, so it technically will suspend in salt water. But anyway, let's get back to testing it. We've now got the hooks on. Let's get it in the pool. One of the reasons I'm doing this again, we've been to the pool, we've tested it, is just to make sure with the added weight of paint and things like that, everything's still functioning. And as we can see, it's working very, very well without the bib. So we're quite satisfied with that. Let's get the bib onto it, and we'll give it a go with that as well. So we've tested it without the bib. I think we're quite satisfied with that. Works just as it was doing. So let's get the bib into here, just click it in place, and we will give it a go with the bib. There we go. So here we are, bibbed garfish. Let's give that a burn. Yeah, nice on the slow. I'm going to bring it there. A lot of slime in this pool, unfortunately, guys, as you can see, building up on the nose there. Let me just take that off. Wow. There's actually fish in this pool, and for those wondering, Zimbabwe has a very big problem with water. I'll give you an indication. There's no municipal water here whatsoever. So I'm currently getting water from my neighbor who's got a borehole, and I fill up a tank once a week. Very kind of them. I do pay for that though. But they are digging a borehole here technically at the end of the month, which will be great because I'll clean this up. For the time being though, what I've done is I've filled it with tilapia and other local species of fish, and they have quite a nice little life in here. I get fed regularly and lots of slime to feed on. So yeah, that's why it's looking a bit gungy, I guess. But anyway, I've taken the slime off the lure. Let's give that another go so you can see what it does. So we've got the lure back to the workshop. We're quite satisfied with how it works. It works pretty much the same as before. Everything's fitted, bearing in mind, except for that section there, which I'm leaving off for the final epoxy coat, and then we'll glue that on last. But what it basically means is we're pretty much down to the foiling stage now. So I'm going to start doing that and show you how we're going to do it. I'll tell you what, I've had nightmares about this though. It's going to be kind of like fitting a square peg into a round hole, getting foil over all the features, yeah. But it is possible using a scalpel, making slots here and there and various things. And bearing in mind, guys, that foil is flat, so you're always going to get creases. Just try and hide your creases down the bottom or somewhere where you're going to cover it with paint. That's what I do all the time, and you can even flatten those out with various tools. Sorry, the dogs are having a go at the neighbor's dog over there. Good news about Ralphie, guys. He seems to be doing very, very well. He's responding well to the chemotherapy. Those tumors have halved in size, which is great. He goes for another one next week, so I'm very chuffed about that, by the way. Anyway, let's not bore you with that. Let's get down to the foiling stage. What I want to show you first, though, is a picture I downloaded from the net of a robust garfish. And I just want to walk you through what we're going to try and achieve here. So bearing in mind, this guy is dead. So he's lost a little bit of a luster. If you look at a robust gar, there's a little bit more green on it and stuff. And we'll try and achieve those realistic colors when we paint it. But what this picture does do, it shows the scale and the striations perfectly, which is what we're going to be trying to achieve with this garfish here. And you'll see the little silver line along the lateral there. Those things we can do as well. And you can see very, very perfectly the scale here, which looks a bit of a mess. I mean, bearing in mind, we often go to excesses to try and create a perfectly even scale pattern. But if you look at reality, how often is it perfect? I mean, reality is perfect, don't get me wrong. But I mean, talking about patterns, if you look at those patterns there, not really perfect, really perfect. Good detail on the gills there as well. It shows that nice dark contrast between the eye and all the different little crags and nooks and everything around the gills, which we're going to try and get as well. So that's the picture I'm going from, just for scale pattern. And yeah, looks pretty much like the bait, I think. I think we're going to get quite a nice looking effect here. So that's what we'll go for. Okay, so what I use, and you know what, I'm learning all the time as well. So I used to use this stick. That was my principal foiling tool. That's a paintbrush handle, basically. I often use 600 grit or 1000 grit, and I just sand this down very lightly. Just get anything that might scratch or burr the foil off the end. You can see it's actually even worn. It's tapered inwards here, where I've used it so excessively. So yeah, that's a great tool for that. But having said that, I found and discovered new things, and these only recently. I mean, you could say, you know, why didn't I know this before? But I don't know everything. One of the things I found recently is stainless steel wire works brilliantly, and it doesn't scratch or mar the foil, which is great, as long as you haven't got any super glue on it or anything like that. But once you've foiled it, using it as something to rub, it actually polishes it as well and doesn't scratch it. What I've done there is I've just upturned this wire here, just so you don't gouge into it at all at any point there. I've got a couple of little tools like that. One's this old plug you'll recognize from before. That's just a slightly shorter one to get into tighter spaces. And another thing I think is for sculpting pottery is this little tool here, which is plastic. Again, I'm often cleaning them just with a bit of 1000 grit, just the edges, just like that. And this works wonders for getting into things like behind fins, or if you need a curve for these areas here, for instance, works great. But anyway, let's get to that. I think what we're going to start with is this head, which has been giving me nightmares. And I'm just trying to think how to tackle it, because I haven't given it much consideration, or come to any conclusion, should I say. I've given it a lot of consideration, but I think we're going to go side on. We might have to do separate pieces for certain areas. So let's just start with a flat piece the size of the head, and we'll go side on. So what we'll do for that is we'll get out a foil. Okay, we know it's a bit tatty here. It doesn't matter, we're not going to be using those edges anyway. We're going to get the length of the head on there, so we know where that is. We're going to cut our length of foil, or just make a mark. We can cut that just now. Let's get that cut off and let's give this a go. Guys, remember, foil can always come off. So if you mess it up and you're not happy with it, take it off, try again. Simple as that. Okay, let's give this a go. Let's get the nerves at bay. We're going to try our usual method, which is just opening up the foil first, if we can get the scalpel in there, of course. This proves difficult even with glasses. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we've opened that up there. Let's just fold the white back a little bit. It's always hard. Oh boy, come on. It's always hard managing sticky foil, so I like to leave the paper on it. So I just fold that back like so. So we've got our foil here. We're going to try lay this from the nose backwards, see what it does. I can see this creasing in a lot of places, but as long as we can keep the creases off where it matters, we should be okay. We might end up foiling there as one section and foiling the other as another section. But let's just give that a go, starting there. Using our thumb to hold it there, I'm going to lay that flat and I'm going to grab this section and I'm just going to push. Already I can feel where it's going to crease. That's a bit of a problem. And I'm going to push there. Are we going to make it to the end there? I hope so. Just. Okay, so there we've got our foil on there. Let's start with the primary tool being the finger. Just going to sandpaper my nail here with the same 1000 grit, get it smooth. A bit hard to manage this. Okay, we've got it flat on the fin, which is a great thing. It's on the gill plates, so we really need to get it flat. We'll go over all this detail later and get that nicely, those impressions in there, all those gill impressions. It's just getting it where we need to for the moment, which is there. I'm going to turn that over here. And we're going to do the same here. Let's see how we go, because we can always take it off or take off sections of it. Okay, we've got that over. This is where it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to definitely have to cut that there. Gills, not too bad. I can see a little bit of a crease is going to form there, but I think we might be able to get that out and get it out later with a tool. There we go, that's out. It's here. You can see where it's going to crease here. That's going to be quite difficult, but you know what? Foil does flatten, and we're not too worried on the head. So let's just do what we can there. Okay, it's going to turn it again because I can see a crease forming in the gill there, which isn't nice. I don't like creases on the gills. Okay, that's not too bad of a one. We can actually iron that out later, which is quite easy to do. As long as we get all of that on there, we're okay. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I think the only way to do this is I'm going to make a couple of slots here. Wrong scalpel, and one of those slots is going to be here, and I'm going to cut this fin out there. We can tidy this all up, don't worry, just make a slot around the fin like so. Okay, that gets that out of the way, and I might even straighten it a bit so we can now flatten that. Yeah, I'm not too worried about those. They will go away. They will go away. See, now it's going right around that curve, which we don't really even need to see. But I might put a bit of foil in there just to make it neat just now. Got a couple of creases here. I'm not too worried about those. Those minor creases you can iron out. You won't even see them at all. We're going to take this right to the edge, and I've already thought about this, guys. I'm going to have to do the inners as separate pieces. I am going to foil the inner. I thought about just painting it and leaving it, but I'm going to give it a foil just so that when it's on that curve, you still see a bit of flash and you're not seeing some black or red or white or whatever it is. So it'll take a little while to do this, but we'll get it done. Let's see how far we can take this. It's looking not too bad so far. Increments, guys, increments. Just use that nail. Okay, we're getting a few creases there. A few there. It doesn't matter. As I say, this head's going to be the hardest part of all, but the rest is going to be dead easy. And of course, we've got our recess there, which we're going to fall right up to the edge of. But so far, guys, so good. Turning again. Get that out of the way. And I'm going to push that right to the middle. Makes it quite easy. And those creases there, don't worry me at all. They'll be a nice white, subdued white over that. Okay, so there we are, almost to our middle mark. You can see what creases I have got there. It doesn't bother me. This might be a bit of a problem. But let's check. See if I can lift that a bit. Sorry, a lot of playing here, guys, but I mean, something like this is quite difficult to do, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, that's, yeah, I'll get rid of those too. That's not a problem. Let's just iron that out with our fingernail. Look at that. Got our recess. That's fine, man. Perfect. And what we're going to do here is, once we've got that to our center point, let's just get rid of that excess straight away. Sharp scalpel. We want a dead center line. Let's make a mark there. So that's going to be from the wire. From the wire through the middle of that. Let me just see the other side of it. Yeah, I got it. If it's not perfectly straight, guys, it doesn't really matter, because the foil will meet up, and it's very easy to make that meet up. We'll get there later. Okay, now we can peel this off. Not quite, but it'll come off. And then just tear that off there, get rid of the excess. Let's get that little bit off there. There we go. You can see where we're going with that. The top, let's see if we can get that done, and then all these little bits and pieces here we'll iron out just now. Okay, I think the same thing applies to the top of the lure. Let's just make a little incision there. Okay, maybe this way would be better. That's it. Not too worried about that there. Okay, and let's see if we can get this flat. See, that helps a heck of a lot. And now we can do the same thing with this section here. Get it right into there. Oh, don't stick in there, please. And get that. We're not quite meeting the top. Again, not too bothered. Remembering we're going to have 2K over there. It's going to fill those gaps, and there's going to be paint over there. And yeah, this has worked out a little bit easier than I thought it would be. Just got to get to that center line roughly, and we're there. So let's go with now removing this from roughly the center, which is there. There it starts, down this middle there, in there, and down there. That's fine. Okay, so we've got all of that in. Now can trim these sides here. Just want to leave a little bit there that I can push over. Okay, done. Okay guys, looks a little bit of a hodgepodge and a mess at the moment, but let's iron all these things out, and we can use this tool for that, and we'll start getting it looking a lot better straight away. I'm going to use the wood in fact first. Get these out of the way. Get into those areas. Get on that fin. These little creases here, again, remember they're going to be hidden, so we don't have to be absolutely precise about that. I mean, that's when we paint this, we need to paint it with very subdued colors. We're going to make it as natural as possible, but we can still hide that. It won't be too much of a problem. Let's get these other creases here. Just to demonstrate the wire there, as you can see, we've got all that foil on there. Just want to show you what this does. Okay, I've just cleaned it up with my paper, but it actually gives it a nice polish as well. I think you can pick that up on camera. Stainless steel wire, just stuck into a little bit of doweling. Takes away any scratches, which is great. I think you can see that. And gives you a nice shiny luster, which is fantastic. Just got to be very, very careful with it. Don't gouge the end in or anything like that. And now we've got that all on here. What we're going to do very quickly is use our other tools just to highlight those little different recesses and gill plates and things like that. And I like to use a pen, as I've always said, just go around them like so. This section here, let's go around the mouth area here. I'm going to push the foil into the actual mouth recess with the pen. It's got a little bit of play, this foil. It bends a bit, so it's not too difficult. Back to the wire. Get all these sections here done nicely on top there. Trim this around the wire. There we go. Take that off. Get everything fitting perfectly there. There's nice and flat. Get that nice and flat. Get that nice and flat. This section here looks a little bit rough, so again I'm going to flatten that crease. You can actually, with a tool like this is just a scalpel handle, brass, I think, bronze, whatever, sand it again, make sure it's got no scratches. You can get rid of most of these things. Okay, and there we have it, guys. The only thing to do here is cut off the eye, as I always do. And we're done. Remove that, get our pen in there to seal those sections down. And there's one side of the head done. Okay, so let's get on to the other sections now. Don't think it'll take long. we won't bore you with doing all of them. I might do a couple of them off camera, but let's just show you how easy, because these are quite easy. I mean, got flat foil, it's pretty much a flat bend. I'm just going to do it around there, trim it around here, and we'll get into those areas later. So again, just cut a section about the width, a little bit of excess. Remember, guys, on this, it's not on all foils, but this particular foil here has got almost a brush finish. I don't want to turn it that way and have our brush finish going different ways, although you lose a lot of that. So I'm going to do it the same way the foil runs. Looking for the scalpel. Let's take this off here. Again, this should be a lot easier. Might be a bit hard to get in behind that fin. But let's go. Okay, I'm going to take this to the center roughly. Make sure we've got it central, because we've only got a certain width to play with. Is that going to meet there? It is. Is it going to meet there? Hey, hard to hold this. It is. And I'm going to stick this down, bearing in mind, guys, there's a section here we're going to miss, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just going to stick it down for now. Then I'm going to take this off and do the same thing. Push. Just push it around like so. Quite easy, that. And then we're going to get it seated nicely. That's the section there we're going to miss here, but I can put a tiny bit of foil in there or something later. Great thing about foil, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. There we go, there we go, there we go. Not quite straight there, not concerned, doesn't really matter. And now I'll just trim here. I've said before, these flats here, I'll just get a section later. Very easy to trim it quite precisely. Let's just make sure that's all down properly there. Get that out of the way. Try not to slip, which does happen. Trim it right on that line, or just actually on the inside is where I want it. Just like so. Get that down there, sorry. And done. So now you've got to lift this section here and take that out. There we go. And let's do the same here. Get that down there. Probably easier this way there. Just a little bit of an excess to hang over there. There we go. It's all going to be under so many coats of 2K varnish, paint and epoxy. You're not going to notice it. Okay. There we go. Remove that section. Done. And let's just trim this in a straight line down the center to that section there. Remove that. Okay. And do the same here. Let's just fold it over a bit there. Sorry, picking up the wrong tool here. Doesn't really matter there, but let's just try and get it over. There we go. And it was actually to the middle. There we go. Slot down there. Take that off. And we've pretty much got it. I like to carry my foil through the wires, so I'm just going to put that down there like so. Then get to the wood tool. Get that down there. All these little tiny bits we're going to trim off later, so I wouldn't worry too much. Let's just get that flat and stuck. Okay, done. There we go. Done. Section 2. We've nearly finished that. I've got one section to go, and I'm going to just do this tail quickly. A little bit different, so let's just show you this, because we'll just trim it off there. I've just got my standard piece of foil there. I'm not too concerned about creases here, and I'm just going to push it around onto the tail there so that it fits around there perfectly, and pretty much done. I'll make a couple of slots now there and on this side here, just so you can carry on that wraparound. And now that the rest of it we can sort out just now. So to the middle mark again, to the middle mark again. Handy tool, that fingernail. Well, what's left of them, they come off all the time, they get so covered in paint. And then let's just take this over that edge there. I think the first thing we'll do is just trim that around there without cutting my finger off. All of this we can clean up properly later. Sticking to my mat there. Great stuff this, by the way, guys. I use this not only for matting, it stops the foil from denting. This is just that non-slip material you put under carpets and things. But I use it as stencils occasionally as well. That makes a fantastic spray pattern just for things like crappies and other types of fish with lots of spots and things like that. Okay, now this section, let's just get that right over there. Going to be a few creases again, not too concerned. Get it right down into that recess, right by the tail. Remember, we've left the tail a little bit chunky, so not ultra realistic. Once that's in there, let's just trim very carefully around there. Done. Might as well cut these sections off here as well now. From the center of the tail, lift that up. There we go. Not quite through there. There we go. Take that off. Come on. Can be quite a pain, this stuff, sometimes. I don't know. Okay, let's just lift that gently and try and pull it away. There we go. And let's get this section off here. There we go. Now, using our tools and our fingernail, let's get that nicely seated. Perfect. Get that smooth. And there we go. There's our tail section done. Trim that up a little bit later. So we've got one side completely foiled. A little bit of paint come off there. That was from the foil sticking down and me trying to be too clever and lifting it too quickly, but that's not a problem. A little bit of a hack for that if paint comes off. No problem with the adherence of the paint. It was just me lifting it. Small, I've already done it, but a small drop of super glue on that and then just sand it down with waterpaper afterwards, just so you don't get any bumps and stuff, but we'll cover that just now. As you can see, I've done the inner of this one. I'm going to do all of them, but I'll show you one now quickly and just how I do that. It's quite easy. Where the seam is later will be covered anyway. You won't see that at all. So, and you can also iron that out with various tools. But anyway, what I do for that is just get a small piece of foil. And the first thing I want to do is cut a small little circle in a half circle, should I say, in the middle here. That's to go around the wire. Just like that. I don't know if you can see that. And then we start peeling back the foil. Proving quite difficult this today, I don't know why. Maybe my eyes are getting worse. There we go. Just to there. And then on this side. Come on, there we go. Okay, so let's take the paper back again in our usual manner. Okay, let's not drop things onto the lure. So we've got our circle in our foil and we're going to make that flat as possible. And then all we do is where the wire joins, let's take that paper off a bit more. Where the wire joins is just get that in there and seat it properly, which is about there. Push that down and then let's get it flattened out. I can see I've missed a bit of an edge there. I can always redo this, but just for the demonstration, I'm just going to push this over the edge a little bit. We don't want it to adhere too much, just to give me a defined line. And then on that line, very, very carefully, which can prove a problem sometimes, on that line, without slipping like that, I'm just going to cut the foil. Okay, this side in properly. Probably easier pulling the blade towards yourself than going the other way. And hopefully that'll just come off nicely. Let's lift that there. Not quite cut through. Can trim any edges off later. Like here. That should come off. That should come off. Just a little bit there. Come on, so I need my tweezers here. Of course they're not here, but still that's gone there now. Okay, now all we do is get our bit of wood and just close that up. As I say, small piece of mist there, not too concerned about that. And you can't even see that join when I've finished. Let's just get this done there. And there we go. I'll tidy that up a little bit more. Got to press it down in some places a little bit more. But for all intents, that's pretty much it. Okay guys, so there we have it. We've got one side. I must admit I've only foiled one side. Other side's still blank. We've got one side fully foiled. I don't need to show you both sides. Showing you how to do the inside the joints there and around the wire. There are some problems. I haven't actually neatened this up entirely yet. I can see some little burrs and stuff like that. Very easy to clean off later. But looking rather swish at the moment. Nice and shiny. And yet to do the detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing the detail now and then probably finish that off camera, and the next time you'll see this bait will be fully detailed, ready to 2K and paint. So let's just start on that detail now. So what I'm going to do is start around the head here, and we're going to refer to our pictures again. I think very, very important to always refer to what you are copying. So you can get everything as close to accurate as possible. So sorry, back to the phone here. I've got to actually find that picture again in my gallery. There it is. Let's open that up and let's have a look at that head there. So there's not a lot of marks. There's a few little furrows and few things there. I can see some nice detail on the fin there. Bearing in mind this is a different picture to what we traced off originally, but it's still the same type of fish. So what we're going to do there is take our pen and let's clear the area a bit. Good idea guys is these little bits of foil, when you've got your bait fully foiled, clear them out because they do dent and scratch other sides of it. Or the side that's down on the mat. So let's just start off with this fin. That's a really good idea, I think, and easy on the fin. Straight serrations, there's nothing too hard about that. We've got a straight serration, straight shore. I'm going to smooth it out a bit first with the stick. I can see we've picked up a couple of little marks on there. So let's just do that, and then it should be easy enough to just do some striations going from this joining point here straight towards the end, slightly arrayed. Very hard to see in this light because I can't see a thing for the camera, but anyway, as close together as possible, but going outwards in a sort of an arrayed pattern. And let's go down the bottom. Do one there, do one there. Let's start curving them a bit. And then let's just fill in the gaps. There we go guys, not looking too bad. There's our little fin done. This is locking up. Then let's have another look here. We've got quite a little bit of detail around the eye. I mean, it's quite a rough looking, it almost looks like a block of molten silver. So let's try and get some of that on with the pen and around here. We'll just reinforce these areas here, get them sticking out, and then here, run that down there. And what have we got there? We've got quite a few sort of little scale furrows and things like that. That's what I like to do, is this fine detail. And then we'll match it up to the other side as well. A pen's a good start. Here we go. In these areas here, let's get that defined there. Just rough it up a bit. It's just like drawing, except your canvas is now the foil. So that's all you'll do there. We've got a recess there. That goes all the way under. I've made that groove quite deep because it is deep, particularly on this other picture here. And that, no, it looks like a mini tarpon actually. That there has got quite a little bit of texture as well. I think we'll get the sandpaper onto that as well. But just, yeah. Where are we here? Here's where we need to define. Let's get that foil into the groove there. I think this is how I've lost most of my eyesight, is doing this on shiny foil. A shout out to Adele, by the way, for getting hold of me, and her kids as well. Adele is a viewer based in South Africa, and she's got 3 kids of various ages who are all very much into their lure building and their fishing, which I think is fantastic. It's always feels great to know that these videos help or are of interest to people who've got the same passion as I do. So Adele, thanks for that. And to your kids, your lures will be on the way shortly. Does the camera pick up that detail? I'm not sure it does, but I mean, it's just that little scale effect and things like that. Bearing in mind, guys, that with our sandback technique, a lot of the time what we do is after we lightly 2K clear coat it, just to apply the paint, is we'll lay color there, we'll sandal areas off, and you'll get little pieces of paint left in those grooves, which start looking really, really real. I'm going to do this here as well. And that guy, I think I'll just use a bit of sandpaper to give it a textured impression. So these are just small scales I'm doing on here. They don't even have to join properly or be in a specific pattern. An easy way to do it, I'll just get the pencil, and I've done this before just for those who might struggle, is if you get your pen or your tool and very lightly score it in areas just like so. And then you can just go over the back of each of those areas you scored, and you can make a nice scale pattern. What's nice, I find, is if you leave one out, leave another, join 3 together or 2, because then, particularly in areas like this, when you do that sandback technique, spraying paint into those grooves and sand it back, you'll lose a lot of that. So it just looks patchy, it looks real. So that's what we like to do. What I'm going to do next is we'll do some more detail in the mouth later, but what I'm going to do next is we're having a look at this body here and those scale patterns, and we've locked again. I really need to adjust this. Let's turn that sideways, sorry. Let's look at that scale behind the head there. So what we've got is right in these areas below the pectoral fin and everything like that, is we've got the scale showing up quite well before it goes into just basic striations. And garfish are very notable from those straight lines you see on the belly and the sheen it catches in the light. So I think that's what we want to get. So let's just do behind on top of the fin, we'll do our scale technique, and we're going to make that go into the top of the head there, and then we'll start it on the bottom here. So again, as I've just shown you on that piece of paper just now, wherever it's gone, disappeared, same thing. I'm going to use that as an angle there. Remember, we're going to fill in these white areas with foil later. And what sort of size? Quite a large scale. So I'm just going to do straight lines like that. No need putting any curve to them at the moment, and these will go all the way down onto the head. Take them straight to the edge here, and now I'm going to cross them. Same with lines. Okay, and you've got a nice scale effect. But now, as I said, I showed you on the piece of paper, let's put a back onto each of these lines and do it quite deep. Press hard. I'm going to just turn this into the light so I can see it. Very difficult to see. Great thing about this, guys, is if you think you've made a mess, your little tools can rub things out. I mean, I'll just show you a demo. I haven't made a mess, but I'll just, in fact, I have doubled the line there. So just using the end of the tool, you can just flatten the foil again. Very easy. There we go, and redo it. Got to have a sharp eye, which mine are fast not becoming. If that made sense. I don't think it did. Okay, I've got a couple of double lines there. It's just the light I can't see there. Kind of like doing it backwards for the camera, but anyway, we get there. And you know what? Even if they are doubled, it doesn't really matter. Once you got your paint in those grooves, you're not going to see that anyway. Okay, there we have it on the top of that head. And now we're getting to a stage where this is really taking on life. We've got to get the texture onto that gill there. Probably put a little bit of detail onto the beak area here. And underneath here, you'll notice from the pictures we've seen that it's just basically striations, but towards the head there is more of a scale, a very rough scale though, as we said. So what we would do is we'd continue those lines down here, and now I'm definitely doing them backward because I can't see a thing. Just like so. Let's get them a little bit wider. I'm not using a ruler, just freehand. It's the best way to do it. And I think that's enough just to show for now. I'll put a little bit more work into this, of course. But even if you were to leave it at that, that would be it. As I say, the paint does the rest of the work. We 2K over this with a very light coat. It leaves the lands and grooves of those scales there, so that when you paint over it with a colour and sand it back, there's just enough paint left in there. And remembering on this guard, it's going to be quite a darker colour on the top here, all along the back, fading into the scale effect, a nice silver line down here, and then pretty much just the striations down the rest of the body. So I think it'll look pretty nice at the end of it. Get off there. Okay, we found our sandpaper. I'm going to just apply it to this area. I like having some nice flat shiny bits to catch the light, but it'll still be very shiny with this. Don't run it along it, just press it down. You can always lift it and press again. Press hard there, press hard there, press hard there, press hard there. Gives a nice sort of rippled effect. Get right into those recesses, and I think we'll do the same around the mouth here. Yeah, that looks very nice. Very nice. Okay, can you see that on the camera? Quite effective. Anyway, guys, so that's what I'm going to do for now. Off camera, I will continue this. I'll get the detail done. I'm going to foil the other side. We're going to get this thing done up spiff and span so it's looking sweet. And that's where we're going to pick up next week, where we take it to the spray booth. We give it a 2K. In fact, I might even 2K it first so we can start the paint straight away would be the way to go. But I hope you guys have enjoyed what you've seen so far. I think it's coming out quite pretty. If you do like what you see, hit like, subscribe, share, and join us for the next episode. Have a great week.